Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at what causes the fear of driving. Now in my videos previously I've often said that the fear of driving or driving anxiety is caused by some kind of trapped emotion or a trapped memory, some kind of root cause, something that's happened in your life that you need to find. But the thing is, many people misunderstand this and they think that there is just one memory or one emotion. It's actually not that simple. When you've got a fear of driving, what it is an accumulation of things over the years, and this is why many therapists fail to clear it. If you go to see someone who is what we call a generalist, which is a therapist who deals with stop smoking, weight loss, pain control, insomnia, anxiety, phobia, they just do everything. They are not going to be able to clear the fear of driving. And the reason for that is that they often make the classic mistake of thinking that there is one root cause, one thing you need to find. Well, there are actually multiple. And this is why it can take multiple sessions with them to get rid of the problem. Whereas with me, I can often do it in one session. Not always, and it doesn't matter if you have more sessions, but this is where people go wrong. So let me explain this in the context of PTSD. Now, driving anxiety and PTSD are not exactly the same thing, but this is just an example. PTSD is actually an accumulation of anxieties that grow over the years. Think of it like a kettle. It's a bit like you're putting things into a kettle and it's slowly starting to boil and boil and boil. But when too much pressure builds up, boom, it's going to explode. So in the case of PTSD, people often suffer this when they've been in the army, for example. What happens is they spend time in the army and they might be in a war and they're seeing their friends being killed, they're seeing people treading on landmines, all kinds of horrific things. Now at the time, it doesn't bother them. But many years later, they've left the army and they're sitting in a restaurant on a peaceful Sunday afternoon, having a Sunday lunch. The waiter comes up to their table with a bottle of champagne, and when they open it and the cork goes pop, this person who's having their dinner dives under the table and starts screaming and having a panic attack. So what's happening there is that they are experiencing now all of those emotions that were suppressed years ago when they were in the war zone. And a similar thing happens with your driving anxiety. When it's been triggered, you probably have no idea what it is, because a lot of people say, I don't know what the trigger is. You don't have to. And people say, well, I don't know what the memory is. You don't have to, because the way I do this is you don't have to actually know what the thing ever was that caused it. Now, in many cases, you will. Sometimes what happens is you will do a session with me and people just start crying or laughing or screaming. I've had people get up and start jumping up and down in the air, so excited that they finally realised what's causing it. But many times you'll just have an emotion happen that you can't explain. When I've been a client and I've been having a session with a therapist who's helping me, and I've just started crying and laughing sometimes at the same time. It's a really weird feeling when you cry and laugh at the same time. And I'd never had that happen before. And I knew something was happening, but I had no idea what it was. I couldn't say, oh, it's this, it's that. It all happens subconsciously. And this is the thing. If you go to a cheap therapist who's going to charge you £50 an hour or something like that, you're not going to get someone who understands all of this. You might go to them and say, I've got this fear of driving, and it all started years ago when I did something I shouldn't have, I kind of broke the law or something. And that can seem like an obvious cause of the problem for the therapist. They might think, oh, well, I know what's going on. It's because years ago you did something illegal, and that meant you were out of control, which was out of character, and that's why your driving is now out of control. That will not work. That is not how therapy works. Why? Because it makes too much sense. If it makes sense, I can guarantee you this now, right? I promise you this. If the solution to your problem makes sense, it won't work. Because if it was that simple, you wouldn't have the problem in the first place. If it was as simple as saying, oh well, I've got a problem now, and it's because years ago I broke the law, and it must be because of that, well then you wouldn't have the problem, because once you find the cause of it, it will release. So you see, most driving anxiety issues, if not, I'd say probably all of them, but there are always going to be exceptions to everything, but pretty much all of them are formed from multiple things. So what I do is when we do a session, and I work with people online all over the world to help them overcome the fear of driving, and that's after having done 20 years as a driving instructor. So you see, I'm very aware that during my 20 years as a driving instructor, I've picked up a lot of anxiety, and I am being very careful because I know in the future that could come out. All the crashes I was in, all the incidents I was in, all the things I had happen with pupils, it didn't affect me at the time, but it could later. And I've had driving instructors come to me who have said, look, please don't tell anyone about this, don't tell them my name, don't tell them the school that I run, but I've got this problem. And it's quite common for driving instructors to develop problems because of all the stress and the anxiety that they're under on lessons. In your case, you might be thinking, well, I wasn't in the army, I wasn't in the emergency services, I wasn't a driving instructor. You don't have to have been. I've worked with people all over the world whose anxiety has been caused by any kind of job. I've had people who work in offices, pubs, clubs, people who work in shops. The job is irrelevant. It's very often your job can be the cause of your driving anxiety. But again, just knowing that won't get rid of it, because it isn't quite that simple. Yes, it could be because of your work, because of stress of your job, but it goes a lot deeper than that. It branches off in different directions, and we need to be sure that we catch all of these things to get rid of your anxiety. So if ever you've seen a therapist and the anxiety has kind of gone for a few days or a few weeks and come back, this is why. It's because you haven't found all of the reasons for having it. You've probably got one of them, maybe 2 or 3 of them, but there could be multiple. I've known there to be 10, 15, 20 different reasons why you've got it. So the way that I do therapy is I use the purest form of therapy available, which means that instead of just going for one root cause, for one memory, and then missing all the others, I clear up all of these things, normally in one go. So that's the cause of your driving anxiety. You see, the reason you haven't got rid of it is that most therapists, they're a bit like people with shotguns. They'll go out to like a clay pigeon shoot, but they've got a shotgun and they're just firing it here, boom, fire it over there, bang, fire it over there, boom. And they're just kind of hoping that they randomly hit the target. What I do is like having a sniper rifle with a laser scope, and I zero in on the problem, boom, gone. Watch these other videos on the screen for more help with your fear of driving. And if you want to work with me one-to-one anywhere in the world, contact me through my website firstdrive.com or using the links around this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.